Hello again, everybody. Welcome back on in. We got Atomiix over on the top. It is kind of spelled like me, M-I-I on the Nintendo Wii, like so Atomiix. But no, I think it's Atomiix. But anyway, then down on the bottom, Yuriisle. We're just going to say Yuri. But yeah, this was actually for Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly. That's number 18. Yeah, she's done 18 of these, and all of them, it seems like, at least after any of the like beta period, soft launch period, they've been over 1,000 people. So this one was just about 1,500 entrants or participants, and we are seeing the grand finals right here. Best of 3, ladies and gentlemen. And so you're gonna kind of notice like mostly a mirror matchup right now with Atomiix on top and Yuri on the bottom, just as a reminder. But the layout, of course, on the playmat is not exactly mirrored just yet. I'm just kind of spoiling perhaps what's to come with the mirror matchup of all of this. But yeah, it does look like Sudowoodo, that excellent Triumphant Light alt art card. It's in the active spot. I mean, I say it's excellent just because it looks excellent, but I'm not so sure about it right now. I mean, fighting headbutt, decent if you're going up against the EX, but right now, no EXs actually in our grand finals here with these top 2 competitors. So kind of interesting, but yeah, it is basically just if your opponent's active Pokemon is an EX, then the attack would do 30 more damage, so for a total of 50. But yeah, clearly, we're not going to be seeing that today, so just that 20, and here it is. So it does look like this is kind of more about the Lucario Rampardos dynamic, whereas Sudowoodo just maybe kind of that extra. But yeah, look at this, already down on that 40, of course, because Yuri with that Riolu right here gonna get some nice jabbing on in. And so let's just see kind of how this transpires, but you do already see Lucario down on the bottom. But when it's sort of like mirror matchup like this, okay, well now we're gonna see actually Cranidos hit the bench and then Lucario right here. Okay, so Atomiix actually, just as I was saying this, it does seem though that we'll take it a few more turns, but sometimes when you're on this kind of like mirror matchup, it's just sort of who gets to that like main card first, And so yeah, there we go. It's gonna be the Skull Fossil moved into the active spot, of course, right here for Yuri. So you just play those fossil cards. We actually haven't really typically seen them in, I guess, any of the tourneys that I've casted. So it is interesting to have the fossil dynamic, I guess, for the first time on this channel after all this time. But, it is essentially just like a 40 HP basic Pokemon. And so really at any time, though, you can discard it from play, but you do need the fossil, obviously. And in this case, the Skull Fossil for getting this Cranidos, which does actually get the KO right there. And that is the headbutt attack. And so again, going back to our first kind of, well, maybe not our exact first point, but just an earlier point that we were just making just now was, seeing what happens. I think this is pretty much it, because here we go. It's going to be Rampardos. I was just trying to say, whichever of the 2 competitors kind of gets to that main card, and that would in this case be the Rampardos. I mean, that's 130 damage for 1 energy. Now, it does, of course, do 50 damage to itself with that head smash if the opponent is knocked out by the damage from the attack. So most of the time, that's going to be the case. I mean, look at this. The Lucario right there. I mean, yeah, it does look like Yuri just going to kind of take it on the chin, right? They are going to take that head smash, and that's going to be a super fast game number 1 right here. Atomiix dropping the atomic head smash. Man, so we'll go ahead and see what happens on game 2. You guys, please subscribe, like, comment, all of that good stuff. It certainly does help. And so now let's see what's going on with game number 2 from Atomiix and Yuri, of course. And then Yuri going to be going first. We got to see if the curse active. This is all taken from other people's streams. And not only that, the streamers themselves, to be able to spectate like this, they have to then get the footage from someone else as well. So it's one of the competitors, right? And so Yuri, I believe, was mirroring their phone, to get it for Ursiiday. I'm obviously trying to add all of my own commentary, kind of make this my own product and stuff. But the point of saying all that is, for instance, I would show you guys the hand. I know that they can't really in a live stream format when you're doing a live tournament like this, but like I would show you everybody's hand, for example. Yuri now on that turn 3, finally going to be able to make some kind of move, play some energy down. So let's see it. It does look like, of course, Lucario going to be that flavor of the day here for Yuri. Clearly the Rampardos, though, last time. That was scary. So Lucario, though, it's your fighting coach, is your ability. Attacks used by the fighting Pokemon do plus 20 damage to the opponent's active. And so, aside from that, Submarine Blow is 2 energy for that 40 damage. Lucario, alright, 100 HP, but like we say, when you get that Rampardos in there for 150 HP and that 130 damage on 1 energy, it is nuts. I mean, it's nice to have that 150 because dealing 50 damage to yourself, you at least got to do it 3 times if you're not taking other damage from your opponent, So you would get 3 of those, which is enough to win, right? So anybody's opponent going up against that, obviously, they just kind of hope that they're dealing some damage in between. And so Sudowoodo right here for Yuri, kind of debating actually whether they're going to throw that on. It does look like they will pretty much opt to get some damage in here. I would just think, I would like Sudowoodo to have something a little bit more. Could it do 10 more damage or could it have like 20 more HP? I don't know. Sudowoodo, I'm still kind of perhaps a little bit early here, even though, to be honest, Triumphant Light's now been out for plenty of time, I guess, for the single fact that I haven't covered it yet on the channel. So, this is one of my very first forays really in seeing it in the tourney. Okay, so there it's going to be Cyrus actually played right here. Yeah, that could be devastating. Atomiix trying to come out the gate right now. It is, a little scary for them though. It's nice to be aggressive like that and get that Riolu on out of here. It's just you already see on Yuri's side you got Lucario on the bench. You also have, of course, the Sudowoodo, so it's coming back in to deal a little bit of damage. There you go. It's going to be the Skull Fossil right now. So yeah, that might be a little bit more key. And then Marshadow. So yeah, Marshadow, that's going to be really interesting. That might be it actually, because Marshadow, you're always looking for that revenge, the RKO out of nowhere, the revenge KO. And it's simply because Sudo is going to do some damage right here, and then you can obviously just switch on out. Revenge KO, and revenge is going to be yours. So, yeah, a little bit curious. We'll see, though. Atomiix just kind of has to have a good hand come out of nowhere right now. So, yeah, that will just be Lucario, though, dealing that damage. Damage has already been dealt to it, though, so, you will get the KO right there, Atomiix, but like we say, there it is. It's going to be Marshadow coming on into play. Marshadow Lynch. So, obviously still an energy to go down, but yeah, look at that Rampardos coming in play right here. Professor's Research. This is all set up pretty nicely for Yuri, so I think we know at least somewhat to what to expect. I don't typically like to call out too far in advance of a match, Things can change a little bit in Pocket, but hey, sometimes you just know it. Sometimes you just know when someone's gonna get thrown for a loop, and so there it goes. Yes, that will be Yuri. GKV, of course. Yuriisle, or Yuri is obviously the Limitless TCG name and what Ursiiday had kind of displayed as the player name, so just ultimately that's what we are going with. And so yeah, the Skull Fossil, you got an energy on it, you are primed and ready for that evolution, but it's like, it's all coming down to the hand right here, and so that's why I was wondering, yeah, so that's going to be Sudowoodo. Yeah, okay, they're going to go Skull Fossil. We're not seeing a Cranidos right now, so they will go ahead and discard that and put in the Pseudo, because obviously without that, they're not really going to get any damage on the board here, are they? And so, it's going to be that fighting headbutt right here for 20 damage. Clearly not enough. And so Rampardos gonna also come down. So Yuri, just setting it on up. Yeah, if you get Rampardos in there, there it is. Well done. So that's exactly the move that needed to happen right here, because Head Smash, hey, it's only 1 energy for blammo, that 150 damage. And Sudowoodo is on out of there for that final point for Yuri. This is going to a Game 3, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a bit of a weird final, so going into this Game 3, I want to see, I guess the previous 2 matches have been quite decisive wins, and, some of them really fast, and so again, I want to see really drilling down into the strategy, but it does look like, of course, Riolu in the active spot here for Yuri. Atomiix up in there with that Sudowoodo in the active spot, but Riolu on the bench, Skull Fossil as well, considering here Yuri about to throw something down here on the bench, just missed it. Man, what kind of a commentator am I? But yes, here we go. Energy down on Riolu, so it will be able to jab right here for 20, waiting a little bit, of course, so I think that was dependent on who, would we have put something on the bench or not. Sometimes you don't show all of your hand, and I don't mean that quite literally, although it could be kind of considered literal in a game of TCG here, TCG Pocket, obviously. But, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like right now, Atomiix certainly filling out the playmat right now, filling out that top side here on the bench, and so that's going to be Lucario, that's going to be Cranidos, of course, Pokeball thrown down right here, so obviously could fill fill up that bench even more with that one spot still open right now as we wait for the opponent. But no, like we were saying before, you don't always just show off your hand. You don't just always show off what you got. Sometimes it's good to just sort of wait a little bit, especially right here in the early stages. So yeah, that will be Sudowoodo with the Fighting Headbutt. Once again, that's 20 damage with no EXs around here. So yeah, considering I guess the evolution to Lucario maybe, that does seem to be what Yuri is fighting. Yeah, so that is the decision. And so there you go. It is going to be Lucario finally coming down right here. Remember the Fighting Coach ability to allow plus 20 damage. It does seem though, Pokemon Communication gonna go down. So that's obviously where you take something from your hand, switch it with a random Pokemon that's in the deck. And so there they go. It does look like Marshadow actually gonna be drawn out right here. So looking for that RKO out of nowhere a little bit later on, maybe. Although you could take down this Sudowoodo, obviously already having damage on it here at 60 HP. If revenge is gonna be yours, the flavor of the day on that attack is gonna be 100 total damage if there's damage already on that Pokemon. So we could look forward to that. You can see that the energy mulling over that decision right now. We can see kind of the play building up in action. It's just now that can be disrupted by Atomiix. So you're at that impasse essentially because it may be sooner than Atomiix wants to throw out one of these other Pokemon. For instance, you're waiting for that Cranidos to obviously become Rampardos. 130 damage at such a low cost, It does seem that there's a little Pokemon communication of their own over there on Atomiix's side right now. And so I did just want to point out, most of the tourney we'll see actually in the standings at the end while we have a second here that a lot of it was actually Dialga Arceus decks, from the participants here, at least in the top, we'd say like 50 or so. But yeah, that's going to be Rampardos down right now for Atomiix, but also another of the Sudowoodo, that crazy alt art. I also got two of those. Was on a recent previous video here on the channel. You guys could check that out. Boom, that's going to be the Fighting Headbutt going down once again for 20 damage. But this could be what makes Marshadow kind of more of a huge play than I think than normal, just because we are in that best of 3, right? So this is the grand finals, and this is the round that is going to determine who is going to take that. And so it has potential. Finally, we kind of have a situation where I think both players have to think just a little bit more. The solutions are not just so clearly laid out, maybe just a little bit more than usual, simply because, like I was saying before, it's like with Yuri's Marshadow being played, could make Atomiix have to maybe force their hand a little bit more, maybe do something before they wanted to. But we do see the evolution to Cranidos, so that's kind of the big thing for Atomiix's side, right? And it's nice because they don't want damage to be kind of applied to it right now, because obviously if there is damage on it, that's going to make Marshadow a lot more viable. And so it is kind of an interesting way to try to counter. It's just, geez, that 130 damage is nuts. But yeah, that's going to be Atomiix grabbing one of the prize points right here. And so we are 1-1 on those prize totals, but right now Cranidos going to enter that active spot, and there we go. It's going to be the evolution to Rampardos down here for Yuri. We'll be able to bring down Sudowoodo at this moment right here. And that's going to be a Pokeball. So very nice. And it's Riolu is drawn back in here. Wasn't that what was used in the Pokemon communication earlier? So, but there you go. There's no cape here for Atomiix. It's just, it's going to be a head smash right now from Yuri. And so that is going to be the second prize point. So this now, it is looking like GKV right here, or Yuriisle. Still really hoping that is your name, Yuri. But yeah, it's looking pretty good for you now. So this is a little bit more definitive. That's why I like Pokemon TCG Pocket. When you go one turn cycle of both your opponent and you, a lot can actually change. It's just much more streamlined. So here we go. It is going to be Lucario in that active spot. Not much left that you can do, really. You can go ahead, you can try to throw that attack down, but, Cranidos gonna withstand that and still even be able to head smash for that final shot, that final KO that's needed. So if we try to call back to just the trajectory of what got us here, it was actually really nice of Yuri. The fact that they had Rampardos when they did, that was sweet. So, that really kind of came in clutch. And then, yeah, we're gonna see the Sabrina come right out here. I mean, it's just, that's the thing is, Marshadow would have gotten the revenge, right? So there would have been a revenge KO, an RKO out of nowhere. But then aside from that, Rampardos is going to do enough damage. So no matter what, all of this positioned Yuri really well, right? Because they're up 1 point, so it's like, yeah, you can get the revenge, you could do this, you can retreat. But the fact that Yuri did not use the Marshadow kind of earlier on, the delaying Marshadow play was much better. Imagine trying to take on Sudowoodo with Marshadow Marshadow, this would have been some of the much earlier turns of the game. And so, yeah, I mean, not much left but the crying, isn't it? You know, I think that this is for Yuri. Rampardos doing work. If anybody was kind of thinking, hey, I'm going to be original and use that Rampardos deck, oh man, it'll be good. I mean, with a mini set like this, I like that you can kind of change things up this much, but remember, it is new. So, you know, it's like people are still maybe having to figure out some things. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be the concession from Atomiix. And that means Yuri is your grand finals winner of Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly number 18. We are going to get a quick look at the standings so you can see kind of the lay of the land here for the tourney. But also, when it pops up on screen, please click an end screen on screen to see another video. And I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for viewing.